Andy Johnson, Minnesota State University, looking at voluntary reading, which should be a part of any literacy program. Has to deal with motivation. But first, some facts and figures. Less than 50% of fourth graders read for fun every day. And yes, this research is a little bit dated, but it gives us some ideas anyway. 13% of the nation's fourth graders never or hardly ever read for fun on their own time. And only 30% of fifth grade students read for 10 minutes or more a day. Again, that's a little dated, but it is relatively accurate today. Big picture. If we want students to read, we need to enable them, allow them, encourage them to practice reading. They need to read more if they are to become better readers. Voluntary reading. And voluntary reading should be part of any literacy program, any that has to do with motivation, if we want them to become better readers. And the operational definition of voluntary reading is the time spent reading apart from class. They associate reading with pleasure, and they want to do more of it. Why is this important? Because the amount of voluntary reading is highly correlated with achievement. Now, the question always is, do smart students read more, or are students smart because they read more? I'm not going to answer that for you. However, the amount of time spent reading narrative text and reading for pleasure starts to decline in junior high and high school. Why is that? Well, I know, because there's more external pressure, more social pressure, and more emphasis on expository text. However, junior high and high school is the very time when they need to read narrative text the most. Narrative text, stories about students like themselves going through similar situation, enables you to understand self, others, social situations better. You can experience vicariously. You can understand self and others. So we need to do a better job of promoting reading for pleasure, both for academic reasons, but for social, emotional reasons in junior high and high school. That must be a part of our curriculum. Skills-only program do not encourage voluntary reading, meaning if your reading instruction is comprised only of drill and kill on phonics and isolated skills instruction, the student learns to associate reading with an adversive condition or an unpleasurable event. And mice, children, chickens try not to repeat painful experiences. We want to associate reading with a pleasurable experience. And the teacher's number one job is to help children fall in love with books. As well, we must redefine reading success. And successful teachers of reading as well. We must define it in terms of reading behaviors, not standardized test scores. What sorts of behaviors do they engage in while they are reading? How many books do they read? What sort of books do they read? How do they talk about books versus skills? Some data, amount of time spent reading linked with reading achievement of fifth graders. And you can pause, but you can see that. Rank on standardized tests. As that goes down, the minutes read a day go on. But look at this. The estimated number of words per year that pour over your brain. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. National Association of Academic Prowess records 5,000 to 25,000 students at regular intervals. This is what they came up with. Reading in and out of school is positively related to reading achievement. We need to have more silent reading, reading for pleasure if we want them to improve. Not more worksheet pages, not more phonics instruction or comprehension sheets or round-robin reading. Many children, despite the wealth of research related to reading volume, many children spend reading instruction engaged primarily in workbooks, and that is a bad thing because there is no relationships between workbook pages, comprehension sheets, and reading achievement. None, zero. As well, students who report having home environments that foster reading have higher reading achievement. Part of our job as teachers is to educate and encourage parents to engage in reading and creating a reading environment at home. As well, federally funded Title I and special ed programs have not increased students' volume of reading. They have not increased students' voluntary reading, have not increased students' love of reading. Most practice on drill and kill, discrete, isolated skills, barking at print. All right, in part 1, we got 2 more coming on voluntary reading, helping children fall in love with books.